And you're right. I'm wrong. I don't know about race cars.
Well, hey, welcome to another week of Turn 4 Talks. We had a wonderful weekend at Kansas here, and I'm Nate, this is Pops as always, and we're happy to have you with us. And we'll dive on in. We'll start with the ARCA series since there wasn't some trucks this weekend, so we'll dip low and still cover 3 races.
What's up, race fans, man? Thanks for joining us. Getting excited. Let's dive into this stuff.
Yeah. So what are your takeaways from the ARCA race?
ARCA race, man. All right. Gio, man, I don't know. Man won a race. Feel like he's mini Tyrell-ing it through that series, man. He bumped Jack Wood on the restart, knocked him out of the way. Jack was his competition. Towards later on there, he just nailed Destiny Spurlock, man. Gave her the chrome horn right to the rear, spun her out, gave her a lot of talent. That girl saved the car. But that's where I start out, man. It's just, where's that etiquette at?
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Busch mentioned during the interviews when they were talking about changing the playoff format to the old chase or now the new chase. But he said that, the kids coming up, including Brexton, haven't all taught that you go for the win and you bump them out of the way and you do what you got to do. And there's always been half true in racing as it comes, especially in NASCAR. But definitely this year it's kind of showing. It still shows in the lower series. Some of these guys are a little willing to get more aggressive than they need to be to get some of these finishes. But it was an interesting race. Who else stood out to you?
Oh, man, Wood, man. He had a fast car. He was the one who got punted. Daniel Dye was back in that 24. He had a rocket as well, man. I mean, he finished in second, but he was the competition there as well up there with Jack till he got, pit road trouble there. I think it cost his race.
And Wood's an interesting case because, I mean, he had a couple decent years when he was running for in the trucks as Thor Sport and I think somebody else as well. But he's a talented driver. He's definitely not going to be an upper echelon driver. But it's interesting to see him kind of mulling around in ARCA. You'd think he could have secured a truck ride, I guess, but that's probably where the funding goes. But no, he's a good driver, and I think there's a few others. And talk about money, I think Daniel Dye was a big one. Obviously, there was some controversy the last few weeks around him, and seems to be he kept his ARCA ride because he's paying the checks, and he was quick. I mean, he's not the worst driver. Obviously everything kind of shook his year up in a lot of ways, so maybe he's a little more focused on what he can run in ARCA just to prove himself. I don't think that justifies what he said, but I don't think it makes it problematic either. I think he's just trying to show his skill.
Yeah, we say that about a lot of drivers. They're out to prove something. When you're on a mission, you feel that clock's ticking. You got to get up there and hope your equipment's well too. And I give him credit. He ran a clean race at that point, at least too.
Now, and somebody else with a point to prove is Cletus, and I know he's a hot button topic with NASCAR right now, and probably going to stay that way for a long time. But, I think he's continued to show in at least ARCA, he's building racecraft, he's getting skill, he's still, when the thing blew up, he definitely was, as he said it, he was drifting at 130 miles an hour.
Smoke pouring out the windows, right?
Yeah, but he still corrected the car and still kept it from battering off the wall. I don't necessarily think that means he should get full kudos, cherry on top and all, but I think there needs to, at least in that sense, be some respect. Every incident he's had in the last year, especially since people have started harping on him, has either been no fault of his own or the ones that are his fault. He doesn't take out half the field or really have a crazy wreck. So I think you got to give some credit to him in the sense that he's proving that it's not just the old argument that anybody can hop in one of these cars. He has some background with speed and driving in different disciplines. So to get here, and yeah, it's not working out always the best for him, but I think he's doing better than the peoples are giving him credit for.
Yo, when that oil line blew, man, he was hands-on trying to steer that thing, and the broadcasters are screaming at the TV screen, turn it off, turn it off. That guy couldn't reach to the wheel, man, cut that thing off. So I was just like, yo, give the guy a break. I just saying, and he's a stand-up guy for his sponsors, even though it might be him, but hey, good for him.
Yeah, Another driver who stuck out to me was it's always good to see Ryan Vargas, active Reddit user, and he's always been a fan favorite. I feel like even though
Our
he's
old friend, we met him, right?
yeah a couple times now, and he's always
Definitely
personable,
solid.
always smiling and having a good time. He's a hardworking kid.
11th
So
place, man.
yeah, and he's proven he drives anything with four wheels between driving Monster Jam or driving in European NASCAR and everything in between and a bunch of weird mixes of things. The kid's just trying to do anything to go fast and does a good job in whatever you put him behind. He doesn't always have the best equipment, but it's always fun to see a good Ryan Vargas run. I mean, he good driver, and hopefully catches some more breaks. And,
Yeah, hats off to him, man. That was cool to say. I always see his name. I catch an eye on him. But a big shout out to the three big women there, and right there in that top 10 there, man. You had Laney Bryce finish fifth. You had Jade Adverson, excuse me if I didn't say her name right, seventh, and of course Destiny Spurlock after that crazy chrome horn from Ruggiero, she still brought home 10th, man, and she slid. So good to see the women out there representing. I dig it, man. That's a fast track at Kansas.
yeah, I think a lot of people will forever give Danica and even more recently Haley Deegan a really hard time about their things. And there's been some drivers, your Natalie Deckers, who are a hot mess on the track, and other females like Amber Backleen who have struggled with the funding but aren't the worst driver. But I think we're starting to see an increase and a growth of female drivers in NASCAR, specifically in the ARCA series. And I think with each crop that shows up, I think they're proving more and more that women do have a place in this sport against people's old timey beliefs that or whatever get the old get off my lawn kind of old men. But you know they can drive, and like Laney is very talented. I mean, she's literally got a Toyota commercial about talking about people judging her for her skill, and it's just raw talent and being on the right team.
Yo, man, I'm showing my age with these young dudes. What I say, you had Janet Guthrie back in the '70s rocking. I mean, she drove Indy cars. She got in a Cup car. She showed them boys at Charlotte. Patty Moise, man, she broke the record for a woman at Talladega in an Elliott car back in the day. And I know Shauna Robinson, man, she punched it there and through the '90s. So shout out to them. We love the women in sports. We hope these girls are successful. It kind of gives you something fun to watch.
No, it's awesome, and I like to see it. And you hope one of them finally breaks the barrier and can make it in a higher series. Obviously, Haley and Natalie didn't have the most success in O'Reilly series, but you really, hopefully, we can see one of them really transverse their way all the way up to the Cup Series and make a name for themselves. It'd be really cool to have a woman back in the Cup Series. I'll slow my roll because it's probably still a few years away, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see one or multiple of these names in the next few years finally taking up a seat.
We'll be watching, man, right? There you go.
Any last people who stuck out to you in the ARC series before we jump?
No, that's who I was following. I loved it. Great race. Coverage was really good as well. I got to give him that. It pulled me in. I'm not much of an ARCA watcher, but Cletus is doing his job. He's getting me. I'm not a fan, but he's pulling me in. I'm trying to see what's going to happen next. So I'll admit that at least on podcasting.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it too, and people were having that argument with him is, regardless of the skill and the talent placement, is the fact that he's something to tune in for. And I mean, whether you want to take and question how many of his 5 million plus subscribers are actually tuning in, it's gotten folks like this old guy here tuning in to say, like, all right, how's this YouTuber gonna fare in the ARCA series, O'Reilly series trucks? I think it is good for the sport. It's getting eyes on it. It's adding a name. It's kind of how Frankie Muniz was when he first started back in ARCA. So you had people watching just because it's a namesake, and it's what you want. I know it's the fourth tier of Cup or fourth tier down from Cup, but it's still racing, and these lower series, these guys thrive when they get more sponsorship because they have higher viewership. I think it's good for the sport, and we'll see how it plays out. But I'd love to keep seeing Cletus and friends in the series.
I
So,
concur. Even that little squirrel McNutt right now, man. It's I give him props, man.
yeah. Jumping up to the O'Reilly series, the B tier here. It was an interesting race. I think the most intriguing thing for me was there was a lot of comers and goers. I mean, the final few in the top five were the ones who had the attrition to get through to it. But from the start, I mean, the guys who were all starting that front row were not necessarily there at the end.
Well, you got the weather came through on Friday, which was they told the fans to stay home. They were like, "Don't even come here. If we run cars on the track, lightning and wind, they were afraid to let the fans on the track, and they were considering running the cars, but they had to cancel qualifying. So points come into procession there. Byron got owner points. He's not running that car, but that 88 between Raja and him, that's right up there, man. So you
Same
give him.
thing. I mean, Klopp will start on the pole with the one mainly because it helped out the Zilla twin the week before, and I mean, just that car's been running good all year. Whoever's been in it, but and obviously it was a rained out qualifying, so it was based off of points, but it was still cool to see that all junior front row, and then three of the top four, and then the other one being Corey Day, which gives some kudos to the kid. It shows where he's made some growth since the first few weeks of the year.
Yeah, he can drift a car. There's no doubt about it. I know people are losing their mind on Byron for, sending our boy Carson on his roof. But you know what? He got him loose and he went sideways. I think when Parker Reslov hit him in the side, that thing sent him sailing through the air. I mean, you're going 3 wide. You think he would have known? I spotter. I don't know who he was spotting, but that I don't give Byron so much grief. I was still mad at him, but I kind of watched it a few times and figured it out.
Yeah, it didn't seem intentional or dirty or malicious or anything along those lines. It was just one of them racing deals, and I mean, that poor Carson just tumbled end over end. That was a pretty wild and gnarly wreck, all things considered. I mean, that car was beat up when it finally fell onto all fours, and I'm glad he was all right. But that's got to suck too. And I'd say the one thing with him is the bad luck. He's had a couple of bad luck races despite finishing really strong all year. But happening lap 6 of the race, he really didn't get a chance to get stage points. I mean, previously he at least had some good stage finishes. So this one's going to hurt him a little, but I'm pretty
Dash
sure.
for cash driver too. I mean, he had a shot at that, and the car looked good. They were just really crazy racing in the beginning there, which just glad he walked away healthy, and JRM will give him another great number 1, man. That's
Yeah.
all. I can't wear my hat upside down, or I would, but there you go.
No, and then speaking of wrecks, I think it was interesting seeing multiple times some of the guys who could have been front runners all day. Austin Hill gets a little nudge from his teammate, which I don't think, again, it wasn't malicious or anything hard. And I really don't even think that the 2 car drove him too hard. I think he just got down on him, took the air off, and then Swallows was in the wrong place at the wrong time and barreled through him like a hot mess.
Yo, I'm gonna be punny, man. There was no love there, man. Austin Hill was like, "Yo, we're supposed to be racing together." There was a whole night ahead of them. You ponder the thought sometimes. I mean, how you felt about that? Like,
Yeah, I think that all in all, it was definitely a little tough. You got to think that Jesse Love, who's proven he can win, he's a solid championship contending driver. Like I said, I don't think he did anything wrong. You go back and rewatch that, and he just runs his line on the outside. I just think that it ends up not working out for Hill, and you almost want to argue with Hill in typical Austin Hill fashion. Maybe this is me being a hater, but why is he pushing so hard to make these passes early in stage 1 and under his teammate when he could just file back in line? Clearly, the race had a lot of reshuffling, and it wasn't even like it was the end of the sage.
you think that's championship frustration? Like, you have this expectation of yourself, and you got to drive a little harder, or I mean, it goes back to when they raced at Coda, and he was racing it. He was racing Kyle Busch, and he was like, "Yo, this is the guy that's mentoring you and your teammate. And you're trying to knock him out of the way for whatever it was, 18th, I think, at the time. But props. I mean, you're a driver, right?
I mean, I think that's one of the reasons people harp on Austin Hill so much is because he has these moments and he's almost host of R-esque and that he just puts himself where quote unquote he needs to be, and whether it's good or bad, it ends up turning around. And if it's bad, he blames somebody else. Then it's you want to shake your head at it, but um, you got to give credit and totally changing sides here, but to the 54. I mean, Taylor Gray is a solid driver. To talk about slow burn, he really worked his way through the truck series, spent a few years there, really developing. Took his time, and when he finally got that Gibbs ride, and didn't get his first win until October last year at Martinsville. But I mean, he is a really talented driver, and I think he really has a lot of respect. You don't often see him making too many erratic moves. We don't talk about him the way we talk Corey Day or Austin Hill in that series. So I think while I necessarily didn't want to see his win, I can't be mad at it. And
Yo, he sure got a mouth on him, man, when that 44 wouldn't get out of his way. Brendan Poole, he was cursing and swearing, man. They couldn't bleep that fast enough. Man, that 00 was coming for him. He was getting nervous. But, I think some pitch strategy, good driving, management, tire management, all that, came to play for him. And props. JGR, man, he definitely came through.
yeah, I think also talking about erratic drives. I mean, maybe this is me reading into it too much, or maybe he was trying to save the car, but when Corey Day nudged the 8 of Sammy Smith and sent him for a round, it looked like he was cutting the wheel left. By the time he corrected and got side by side with the 17, it looked like he was about to drive him headfirst into the inner barrier wall. And then maybe he thought second about it, and that's when the car cut the other way. I didn't see the in car. I didn't see any of the telemetry. I don't actually know, but you could almost see some frustration.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Pump the brakes. So you're saying he turned that thing left, and he was like, "I'm gonna wreck you," and then the two of them were heading towards that wall last second. It kind of looked like that. Not to say I wasn't in the car, but last second, all of a sudden, he turned that wheel to the right, and the 17 was lucky because he was gonna be the cream in the pie right there, man. There's no doubt about it. So
Yeah, I mean, and that's just all me speculating, but it definitely looked like he was not happy, and it wouldn't be the first time this season alone, maybe not even the second time that he'd been wrecked by that car. And as de facto teammates, it was kind of shocking that I'd be shocked as the 8 car to get turned around by him again. And, personally, I could see the rage moment of saying, all right, screw it. I'm done. You're coming with me. But, and the poor 8. But he stuck it out and he still finished a lap down, but he kept the car rolling. And considering how many cars were out of the race or had bad runs, he didn't finish too far off. I think it'll be a learning moment, and he'll probably have a nice chat with Junior after this weekend.
there you go. Yo, that 20 car, I mean, that other JGR car, I thought Jones there for a while, man. He just came to the top, man. That thing looked like it was on rails, man. He looked unstoppable. I mean, it definitely, I know Creed kind of rised up there as well. And props off to him, Dash Cash winner. I'm sure all the guys in the shop are going to get nice bonuses this week, so I don't know how to split up that money, but it's got to go that way, don't it?
Yeah, I think Brandon Jones is one of those guys who doesn't get enough credit. He clearly is in the category of a Riley Series lifer, kind of seemingly at this point. But he brings the car home clean, and you don't notice him when he's having a not great week, which is always a good news. If you don't see the guy or it's not a headline moment, then it's, even if you finish in top 10, you're doing a good job. And then he has some races where he shows up like this, and it's almost a bummer that for his sake that he didn't get their full run and things didn't work his way. But that's kind of what I was getting at with all these comers and goers. There was people throughout the whole race who really had some speed, and you really were thinking like, all right, this is how the race is gonna go. And then 10 minutes later, you're shaking your head like, what happened to him? Where's all that? But which, I mean, I don't know if we're ready to jump fully, but the biggest shocker to me is at this point of the season, especially, is the O'Reilly Series is consistently putting on better races.
Yeah.
And
No, I concur.
maybe it's biased, but I mean, watching that Cup race, there was some things going on. It wasn't a bad race, and we'll talk a little more in a moment about it. But the the O'Reilly race, they were 3 and 4 wide here and there, almost every other turn from stage one on. They were bumping and banging. They were running hard. There was comers and goers. There was multiple guys working pit strategy. It was the race seemed, as much as I just said, you thought there was a few moments where somebody had it in the bag. That you watch the entire race and you have no idea how this is going to play out. Whereas the Cup Series, I mean, not to knock Denny, and obviously it wasn't Denny. We'll get to that. But you're watching this and you're like, all right, this is a Denny Hamlin win. Like,
Yeah, and I want to clarify too. You guys are beating and banging, and as Mike touched on the ARCA, like these guys are trying to pass, and cars are breaking loose and they're rubbing each other. And it wasn't like the Geo just giving the chrome horn. That's like going back to Bubba like 2 weeks ago in Martinsville. You know what I'm saying? It's racing. It's a different style, but they definitely put on a show, and guys were doing everything they could. I mean, guys. Even Creed at the end would try to make a run. He was scraping the wall because he was just flat out, full sending it. So definitely fun to watch, man.
yeah, it's a thrilling view every week, and I think the O'Reilly series is can't miss TV at this point. The ratings keep increasing either week or each week every way, and it's kind of becoming the must-watch series.
Yeah, and just, my weekly pick in that series for someone we're not watching, Patrick Strapoli. He got his crew back. He had suspended 3 people on that crew for the last 4 weeks. He had some runs in the top 10. I think he finished 15th. So, I know I've been picking on him because he seems like he bought his ride in there. You feel bad for, Nick Sanchez, man. He seemed to do a good job in that car, but not to go down that road. But good to see, man. Hats off to you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, I always love watching the O'Reilly races. Speaking of the Cup Series, I already tapped on a little. You definitely thought that was going to be a Denny win through and through. I mean, just that long-term dominance, and how many times have we seen Denny do that? And just have the car to beat. He had some confidence in himself this whole week. And, I'm happy with NASCAR having these caution-free races, because if there's no reason to call a caution, let's just let them roll and have these nice long green flag runs. But you gotta feel bad for Denny with the whole restarts. This is I think I read somewhere it's the 6th time in like the last 20 races or whatever that he's lost on a green-white checkered when he's had the car to beat all day, including the chase win at Martinsville a couple weeks ago. I mean,
Yo, that guy's a database, man. You could see in an interview, man, he was compartmentalizing. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not doing this next time. He gave Lawson he gave him the outside. How many times? Twice? He realized that was the wrong mistake. To me, I mean, looking at practice speeds, man, the 20 was like 10, 15, 20 lap runs, man. He looked like the car to beat. The 45 had good runs. The 5, they were the top in practice. It doesn't always, parlay to the race, but I had a good feeling about that 20. I knew he wasn't happy when the 45 kind of doored him into the wall at the end and gave him a flat. So, I don't know. He looked a little bitter in the interview, but I don't know if that's intentional or not.
yeah, speaking of the 45, I will continue to not be in their cheating category, but that team must have found something. Genuinely. And maybe it's fully legal. I'm not going to say it's not, but to be dominant like this, the last time I remember this was my childhood watching Jimmy have the same kind of run, winning all these races nonstop, and it gets tiresome, especially if you're not a fan of 2311 or Reddick, because you start to get like, all right, just let me see somebody else win. But it's racing.
Yeah, we're watching history, man. He's like a tick on a boar's ear, man. He is going at it, man. He made history this weekend, man. He became the 4th of 3 other drivers, Petty, Yarborough, and also Earnhardt to win 4 races in the first 7. Hats off to him. You got to give props to those Toyotas this year, man. They are far above everybody else. They got 5 of the first 7. those cars are rockets, man. Chevys and the Fords. It's the Toyotas versus Blaney is the way I look at it. I think I said that last week, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean all the Chevy teams haven't really been hitting on it. Hendrick's been a little off, and clearly the trackhouse problem that they're going through. I mean, Spire's been running well, but then there's also RCR that's falling apart. Between RCR literally just being non-existent and Trackhouse, all of them running in the back 20 of the field all day, getting lapped and run through, you start to beat your head and wonder where they're thinking and what's going on back behind the scenes. And there's a lot of chatter about whether that team as a whole is bit off more than they could chew and overexpanded too quick, or including like the MotoGP team, or if that team losing the funding from somebody like Pitbull is hurting that and not having a major investor, or if they've just had a lucky 2022 and they were never this team that we thought they were this last year. So, yeah.
Yo, our buddy Danny Boy over there in the corner, he actually popped out in his interview. He was like, they were interviewing him, and he was like, yo, I tried to have this talk with Justin because the performance was down.
Yeah, I mean, I had several conversations with Justin for a long time, trying to convince him to do a lot of things in the team, and just things just didn't seem to happen. So I'm glad that finally he's seeing what I told him a while back.
Because they're searching, they're having trouble. You see Connor, man, he's a talented kid. The Burgermeister, man, he fell out of the top 15 now, so he's just outside now on the points. So, and even Ross, I mean, don't get me wrong, Kansas was one of his good tracks.
Yeah,
and there's something going on there, but it definitely makes you wonder about that for sure.
Yeah, the Chevy camp is clearly struggling, and maybe they turn around late season. Maybe they're just looking for something formula-wise, but they do not have it figured out the way the Toyotas do. And you were talking Fords, honestly, it's Blaney, and then there's the RFK guys are doing better than the other two. I mean, Joey's having a really rough start to the season. And Cindric's been consistent, but mid. He's been running in the top 15, top 20, and has some decent runs in that aspect. But you'd think with a Penske 2 car that you'd see that up front a little more. Maybe we're just biased from all the Brad years and the Rusty years before that. But they're also missing some cylinders here, seemingly.
Yo, that PPG car looks sexy, that number 2. Little pissed at him for blocking Chase on the pit. He couldn't spin it and slide it out of the pits. He lost some time there in that one pit stop. But that's racing to you, you know what I'm saying? But, Blaney is the consistent Ford. And, yeah, I know the RFK cars have surged, but not on the consistency of the 12. So, I know when I say the 12 against the Toyotas, it seems to be he's up there, but then again, all this swapping and changing the pit crews. I mean, they swapped the Jackman, and then he had personal reasons, so they had to steal the Jackman from the 51, which is really bottom picking, I think. But
yeah, I mean, Penske supplies 7 pit crews in the Cup Series, so and most of the ones that aren't on the main Penske cars are clearly development guys or waiting in that practice squad type aspect. But it's definitely interesting to see a quick change and all that, and see who gets shuffled around. And
it's got to be a monopoly though, because you got a team that's a high, and you're like, I'm gonna go work for Hendrick. I'm gonna go work for Penske. These guys are gonna, I got a shot of moving up with the good teams. So it blows your mind that they have that. I mean, I know their programs are through the ceiling, but it still makes you wonder.
I agree and disagree with that, because I mean, up until this physical season, maybe it was last year, but no, it was this season, Gibbs provided pit crews for the 32311 cars. So, I mean, they had 7 or 8 crews that they were fielding. Roush Keselowski Fenway has been doing 5 or 6 crews as well, because they usually do the Rick Ware crews and a few other of the smaller Ford one-off teams. and Hendrick / Childress both have fielder crews that are out there as well. So I mean, it's one of those things. If you looked at who employs everybody at the end of the day, it's a short list, but it makes it even more complicated because then you see the crews. I mean, I might be wrong when I say this, but I'm pretty sure the Trackhouse crews are Childress crews. So at least employed and then leased out. But which I don't know if that goes to show with it, but it's definitely kind of the way the sport's going with at least the Cup Series. So
Yeah, I mean, I get it. You try to, you know, I'm trying to finish, the end of that race. Like, Denny was leading. I know he made comments earlier in the week about Kyle Busch's, oh, you should lead the team, blah, blah, blah. He put a little, he got KB a little fired up there. And, with 27 to go, KB gave him a hard time to pass. And that was a little bit of his payback. And that 45 got by him. When that thing hiccuped on the fuel, man, that was crazy to see him go into the wall, too, because he was flipping switches. He didn't know what. I mean, Denny at the end of that race, like, everything went wrong. And he even threw shade at Cody Ware. But, Cody Ware tried to get to the bottom of the track to get out of the leader's way. He caught the apron. I know he was crying about, you're on 65 laps on 40-lap tires. But it wasn't a tire problem. He tried to get down out of the way fast to let them get by. I thought it was a little hardcore on him. It seemed like he had some internal issues about some bad judgments calls he made. But,
I mean, to have backtrack is, do you want somebody who tries to get out of the way and makes a mistake and ends up spinning? Or do you want somebody who's going to fight like Brendan Poole for their life and nearly cost you the race? Because there's not seeming to be genuine. There's not. It's in either or. You're gonna get somebody who gets out of the way and might make a mistake because they're putting themselves off the racing line, which could cause problems. Or you're gonna get somebody who's trying to just fight their way through. I'm a understanding person when it comes to, you might be a lap car or a slower car, but that doesn't mean you just need to bend over and let the leaders roll through you. I mean, as long as you don't wreck them. And I mean, clearly he wrecked himself, but I think there's just a little salt from that costing him the race.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's racing, man. It really, really is racing, and it's racecraft, whatever it is. Your decision making comes so quick. I mean, you made the wrong decision, you made the right decision. It happens. It really does. I mean, just because he blew by him because he stuttled with the gas, then he thought he had to win. I mean, we all know he was poking on MJ all week saying, I'm going to win this. So I guess that MJ gave him the choke around the neck and rubbed him on the head because he was like, they're ripping each other. But, Denny's a talented guy, man. He has got so much knowledge in his head and he keeps learning. But, we all make bad mistakes. And if that's the worst mistake you made, there it is.
Yeah. Any last thoughts or observations from the weekend?
I thought Briscoe with the 4 tires, he was back there. He was the first car. He tried to repeat what Chase did there in the fall race. He drove it all the way up to 3rd place. Kudos to him, man. He was on a run, man. There was no doubt about it. Lawson again. He just keep digging. He's holding strong in the points. I know. There's a lot to it, man. There's no doubt about it. I just want to say this racing, I know there was no cautions except for that last thing with Cody, but you can really see it's these drivers' mindsets now, man. They're driving the wheels off these cars. Points matter. No more freaking Hail Marys, man. Nobody's, trying these crazy moves to pit crews or trying to be clean and quick and fast, and it's giving good racing. I know, the trending on the internet is like, oh, the O'Reilly series is, the viewership is up and everybody loved the race, and then everyone's like, oh, the Cup race is boring. It's boring. Yeah, it was a good race. Fans, just enjoy it. Enjoy what we have, man. I say it all the time. I lost my local track when I was younger. Enjoy the series, man. And, it's going to change every week, man.
Yeah. I think my last little tidbits we're talking Blaney and the pit crew, and I think one of the biggest interesting moments of the whole weekend was when Blaney tapped Allgaier or Allmendinger, not Allgaier, as he was coming out of his pit and spun him around between the two track house, or not, wow, I just said track house, but between the two pits for that team. And he was just kind of sitting there. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know when to turn it around. He honestly cost him 2.5 laps, which you almost feel bad because Allmendinger wasn't going to have the greatest day, but it clearly hindered a lot of things. But I think that goes to show, as we've said several times here, and what you were just kind of harping on is, this points racing, and when the points actually matter, and it's not just this winning you're in, it really has a heart. And there's probably a lot of battles you don't see on TV that are going on in the back that make a difference in the points when they're focused up on Denny or whoever's up front the whole race. There's probably some guy fighting for 20th and who's making a difference here, at least in their season. So we'll see how it all kind of continues to play out. I think, as you were mentioning, we're just always lucky to have some more racing, and looking forward to the usual mess that Talladega is. We'll see how it goes and how much fuel saving strategy ends up going into it, like Daytona, or if it kind of becomes more of a traditional Talladega race. But all in all, I think we got a good weekend coming up. Had a good weekend previously, and it's racing.
Yeah, my public service announcement is, man, grab a kid and take him to a NASCAR race. You end up with someone like this, man. I'm just saying, Yeah, we need the next generation, that's all, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank y'all for tuning in.
Yeah, hell yeah. Thanks again, man. Go ahead and smash that like button, smash that subscribe. We appreciate you viewers checking us out, man. We really do. Check us out on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter. You know what? Send us questions if you want. Nothing too crazy, but we love you, man. Till next week, man. Talladega.
Peace. Thank you.
They've done nothing wrong, and I will not tolerate it.